Happy Thursday. I'm Pia from Stitches and Scraps, and this is Lunchtime Live, episode 114. So for those of you who are new here, Lunchtime Live is my video newsletter for Stitches and Scraps. So we're going to start out by going through, what's new at Stitches and Scraps, what's coming up next week, all that kind of stuff. And then we'll end with a quick demo of a knit or crochet stitch. So it's a quick demo, and then this year, 2022, I'm doing a stitch of the week for the demo. So alternating between knit and crochet stitches every week. Good morning, Helene. It's good to see you. How are you? If you're here and you're watching, say hello in the comments so that I know that you're here. It's always more fun to talk to people when you're online. Anyway, so this week's stitch of the week. Hi, Tina. This week's stitch of the week is going to be the crochet. It's a split single crochet, or it's sometimes called the waistcoat stitch. I've also heard it referred to as a centered single crochet. So that's what we're going to do for our demo this week. And that's actually the stitch that I used in this bag. Let me zoom in on the stitch itself. Good morning, Beth. Good to see you. Okay, let me open this up because I want to show you just this part of the stitch. So this stitch right here that I used for this bag, that's what we're going to be doing today. That is the waistcoat stitch or split single crochet. But first, let me talk to you about what's new. I am so I just love this new pattern. This came out this week. It is a mug of cocoa. Okay, see, it's a mug of cocoa, and the cocoa is coasters for your cocoa. So it's a cocoa coaster set. Let me switch over here. I'm going to show you how it kind of comes together. So this is the mug, right? Oh, that's too zoomed in. Let me show you here. Okay, so this is the mug, and inside is one of the coasters kind of secured to the bottom, and there's stuffing. So that coaster sits right about here. This part is stuffed with a plastic mesh circle at the bottom. So that's what keeps it rigid and standing upright and all of that. And then this part right here is hollow, and that's where you put the coasters to store them, right in there. So it's got 4 removable coasters that you can use for your cocoa. And of course they've got marshmallows. The marshmallows are optional. You can add as many or as few marshmallows as you want to your cocoa. But this is the set when it's all put together. You can see it pretty much fills the mug, and then you have this cool mug of cocoa. So that pattern came out this week. It's part of the Holiday Stash Down Crochet Along over at CAL Central Crochet. I know that's a lot of stuff. Is a Facebook group, right, that I help to moderate and manage, which we run crochet alongs throughout the year. So our final crochet along every year, I think we're on the 8th annual one, and it's always our favorite, is the Holiday Stash Down Crochet Along. The idea being to make patterns using up what you have in your stash that would be good holiday gifts or holiday decor. And so this was my contribution to that, the cocoa coaster set. And you can check out all the other patterns as well if you go to CAL Central Crochet on Facebook. Any of the things I'm talking about here, like the patterns and the Facebook group, the CAL information, all of that, look in the description on this video and you'll see a link to a blog post. In that blog post, I've written everything I plan to talk about with all the links to it. So you can see the full list of everything I'm talking about and all the links, so you can go there and find what I'm telling you about. Good morning, Mary. Mary says, today I'm listening while trying to clean up my craft room. That is a never-ending effort, isn't it? I think my craft room was clean once back in June when I had some friends come to stay, and that was probably the last time my craft room was anything resembling clean. Well, clean, yes, but messy. You know what I mean. Okay, so what else do we have going on? Well, this bag that I showed you, right? This is bag number 6 in the bag along cal that we've been doing this year. This is our final bag, which means it's also our final giveaway. And the giveaway information, like the giveaway form, is in the first post that I posted last week with the materials and information about this bag. And again, you can find that link in the list. What we are giving away, and it's sponsored by We Crochet, is first of all this butter hand cream, which is fabulous, very soft and silky. And this, well, I'll show you the alpaca last because that's the cutest. It's my favorite. This project bag that says coffee, crochet, sleep, repeat, from We Crochet. And it's a nice big bag too. Like it would fit a full size skein or two of yarn and hook and project and all that. And then this is a tiny stuffed alpaca. It is, according to the website, it is needle tufted and hand painted stuffed alpaca. So that is the giveaway prize for bag number 6. So be sure to go and enter that giveaway. I believe it goes through the end of the year. I'm not sure if it's like end of the year, or if it's like, I want to say it was like the day after Christmas or something like that. But I don't remember the exact date off the top of my head, but go check out the materials post for bag number 6 and you'll see the exact dates written there. All of the terms and everything are written there. So this is bag number 6. It's got a square bottom and it's got a, what do they call this? Kiss lock, I think, clasp, but it's the metal purse frames, right? So it's just a little coin purse. And the techniques we're going to be learning on this one obviously are adding the coin purse, you know, the purse frame here, the embroidery that we're doing, and the split single crochet stitch. So I'm actually going to talk to you about the split single crochet stitch first. Let's get into that now, actually. Put everything else away and get out some yarn. Okay. So I didn't start a swatch of this because I already had that bag going. So let me just get, should we say 5 or 6 stitches? You guys feel free to pop in any questions in the chat or any comments while I'm working up the first row here. Okay, so the first row, I need to do regular single crochet. There's nothing to split right now. So I'm just gonna do a row of regular single crochet. And we're gonna talk about this a little bit more later, but for now, I'm just going to get us started with a row of regular single crochet. I like working in the back bump. Even though it's a little slower, I think it gives a nicer finish at the bottom, so I always work in the back bump. Okay, so these are regular single crochets, and if I was to chain 1 and turn and work regular single crochets, I would be putting them here, right? And actually, you know what? I'm not going to do this from the back first. I'm going to do this in the round first. So let me chain a bunch and we're going to come back around. Pretend this was a round. Pretend I had crocheted back there, right? So we're coming back around. We've joined with a slip stitch and we're ready to start our next round. Okay. So now normally I would chain 1 and I would put my stitch right here, right? And that, if you look, that puts the post of this stitch just slightly to the left of this one. And that's why our work travels when we're working in the round, right? You know how it shifts a half a stitch over approximately with every stitch. When you do a split single crochet, you're going to split the post of this stitch here. So this stitch has 2 legs, one there and one there. We're going to split that and come in right through the center of that stitch, okay? And pull up a loop there. Now with, oh, I missed it. My hook slid. Ah, okay, so if you can't find it really well, you can use the hook part of your hook to get in there, but you want to make sure that when you pull up this loop, see how it's between that leg and that leg of the stitch? That separates or splits that stitch, and you work your single crochet there. Now the posts are all going to line up just like these ones do, in nice straight lines, okay? So let's go to the next one, and instead of going there, we're going to go in between these 2 legs, okay? Grab that loop and single crochet. In between the 2 legs, up a loop, single crochet, right? Let's do one more row or round, and then I'll show you, once we can see it a little better, I'll show you, you can work it in rows. It's not quite the same effect. Generally, you see this stitch worked in rounds. So just chaining to get back around. Okay, so there you can see that the stitches are now lined up directly on top of each other instead of being offset. So this is great for anything where you're trying to do a design and you don't want it to travel. You want it to be all lined up in a row, right? So chain one, here I'm going to go between these two legs and do another single crochet, okay? And you want to make sure, because it's very easy to think you got in there and then your hook slips into here, okay? You want to make sure you really got in between the two legs. So when you pull up your loop, look at it and make sure it's coming out right in the gap between those two legs. I'll just do these 5 stitches or so, and then we will go back in rows and I'll show you what the back looks like. And personally, I don't ever really use split single crochet in rows because I don't like the way it looks from the back. And so I don't like the way it looks going back and forth. And when you work in rows, that offset already takes care of itself, right? Because you're turning your work. So it goes half a stitch to the left and then half a stitch to the right and then half a stitch to the left. So you don't have to worry about lining it up as much. So I just don't find it useful in rows, but it technically can be worked in rows. Okay, so looking at the back of these stitches, you can see, you sort of see a V there that you think might be a stitch. That's not the stitch. Remember that the back of a single crochet looks like an upside down V with a hat. Okay, so here you can see, oh, that's too close there. The upside down V, there's one leg, there's the other leg, and there's the hat. Okay, so when you work a split single crochet in the back, you want to go between those two legs and under the hat. Okay, that should take you out between the legs of the V on the other side. But I just don't think it looks as good in rows. I really don't. So I don't ever do it in rows. I'll show this to you and then take it out. Notice how I'm using the hook end to pull those legs apart so that I can get a nice big hole to stick the head of my hook into. Okay, chain one and turn, and see now you've got those upside down V's, right? And it just doesn't, I don't know. Sorry, I'm a snob about this. I just don't like it. It makes the little V's, but they get a little offset, and it just doesn't look the same. So that is the basics of split single crochet. But let's talk about what else we can do, right? Because this, okay, great. You can make straight columns of single crochet stitches. Wonderful, useful, great background for embroidery because it's a nice straight grid, just like cross stitch fabric. But what else can you do? Is it only single crochet? Let's break down what split single crochet is saying to you. The split part of the stitch, it's just like front and back post stitches, right? The split part of the stitch is telling you where you are working your stitch. It's where you're putting your hook, right? The single crochet part of the stitch is telling you what stitch you're making in that spot. So you can work a split anything stitch because all that, like if you're working into single crochets or into any stitch, which I'll talk to you about in a minute, that has a post, right, with a top to the post, you can work a split stitch into it, and it can be any stitch. We could work, let me join here, we could work a split double crochet. Let me chain up. Okay, we could work a split double crochet by putting our hook in there. Okay, we could work a split cluster stitch if we wanted to, or a split fan, or a split anything. Let's make a split puff. I like puffs. We can do a split puff stitch going into there. Okay, so the split part talks about where you're going into, and the stitch you make in that spot is completely irrelevant. You can make any stitch you want in that spot. The split part just means you're going into the middle of the stitch below it. Okay, so that being said, can we work into other kinds of stitches? Well, let's do this row in double crochet, and I'll show you working into the double crochets. Because yes, you can work. The key is you need to have a V shape near the top of the stitch where you can go in and split the legs of it, okay? So any stitch that has that. So no, you couldn't work a split stitch into a puff because there's no real post. I mean, I guess you could split the legs of the puff if you wanted to, but it wouldn't be the same as what we're doing here. So let me work a split single crochet into this double crochet here. Do you see that little V shape there? It's a little bit twisted, but do you see how there's a V shape there? Right? You can work between the legs of that V at the top of the post, and that gives you a split stitch. So you could work columns of split double crochet if you wanted to. I'm going to do a half double crochet here because then I'll show you how to work into half double crochet, because that one has a little bit of a wrinkle because there is a V, but it's kind of shielded, I guess, by the third loop, right? So let's do, sorry, my yarn is tangling. Let's go like this. And of course, none of these are particularly standard stitches. The waistcoat stitch is the more standard. That's what you'll most likely see. I just want to show you that you can take that concept and extend it to just about any stitch, really. Okay, so if I join in here, all right, so now we've still got the V with the hat on it, right? Or the V with the top, but it's got this little hat here, okay? If we start working into the V underneath without doing anything with that little hat, then it hides the hat and you really just have the same look as you would with a split single crochet, just with a little bit more bulk because you've got that extra yarn over in there. The other thing you can do is you can come under that hat, right? And then go into between the legs. Now you're maintaining that diagonal bar and still getting your vertical lines that you're trying to get. So with a half double, I like to go under that bar and then into the stitch. So you get a nice, it's almost like a little cable. Guys, seriously, it twists around. Hang on, it twists around like this tiny miniature cable. But if you're working with big, thick yarn, it's a great way to make like a pseudo cable. So I'm going underneath that bar and then pulling up my loop. And you can see how the bars just make this lovely diagonal line as you keep going. And I like that texture very much as well. So those are some things you can do with split stitches. Any questions on the concept of split stitches or how to actually make them or why you would, any of that? I like split single crochet in particular for tapestry crochet. I think it works really, really well because tapestry, the challenge with tapestry is always how do you keep your stitches from shifting as you work them. A lot of people will work in the back loop, which is a great way to do it too, because that again centers your stitch a little bit. But the split single crochet gives you almost a knit-like look, and I really, really like that look. So again, this is what it looks like when it is all done. And you can see it's just columns of V's, just like you would get from knitting. And I really, that's a really clean look to me as a base for anything like embroidery or color work or anything like that. So if there are no other questions on that, I think that's all I have for you today. Again, make sure to enter the giveaway. It's our last giveaway for the Bag-Along Cal. And I will see you guys next week. Next week we're going, oh, I didn't tell you what's coming up next week. Next week I'm posting the actual pattern for this bag. And the stitch of the week for next week is going to be Knit Fisherman's Rib, which is related to the knit bee stitch that we did last week. So we'll be pulling in that same concept of that knit one below to do a fisherman's rib with it instead. And that's it. So I will see you guys next week. Have a good one. Bye.